I have on the phone with me Sharon Anderson, who is the president and CEO of Williamstown Bank, and just had some questions because, banking is one of those essential businesses, so you're still there, and
Yes.
we're all still buying essentials at the store using money, which I know that's been a concern as well with actually over the years, long before the coronavirus, COVID-19 came up about cleaning your hands after handling money and things like that. But since your employees are working with this stuff all the time, how are you keeping the employees at the bank safe during a time like this?
Well, it's actually twofold. We're trying to keep both our employees and our customers safe. We have a lot of high risk, what would be considered high risk customers as well. Many of them are elderly or maybe have compromised immune systems. And so what we're doing overall is, we have limited access to our physical lobbies. So we are open, but we are asking customers to either go through our drive-thrus. They can interact with one of our live video tellers through one of our newly installed interactive teller machines. They're super safe. They allow you to transact your business without having physical contact of any kind with another person. So we feel, especially in this environment, that's a great way to go. Our call centers are open. So we can still provide all of the services that we'd be able to provide in an in-branch scenario, along with the technology that we have as far as online banking and mobile banking. And so that's our really first line of defense, is limiting face-to-face contact with our employees as much as we can. And we also are taking extreme measures, as I think everybody is at this point, with sanitizing. We're sanitizing and continually wiping down equipment. The tellers are now wearing, gloves so that they can process transactions, as well as, basically between every couple customers, they're washing their hands and making sure that they're being clean. And we're just doing everything that we can to encourage people to use the alternative methods versus, trying to come in and do face-to-face transactions.
I know a lot of people at this time are thinking about, well, what's going to happen with the financial institutions and things, and I'm imagining there shouldn't be any concern. That's why people use banks rather than keeping it under the mattress in the back bedroom, because that's a nice, safe place to keep all the finances going and use those online things to pay bills and things, so you don't have to handle cash and risk losing it or something happens and things like that. So the best way is to use all of that technology because it keeps the security level up.
Having your money in an insured institution is still absolutely the safest way to go. Banks and credit unions across the country, they are more capitalized. I know especially, Williamstown Bank is a community bank, so I can especially speak more comfortably within the community bank sector, but we're more capitalized than we've been in a long time. Banks are in a good, solid financial position to help customers ride out this kind of unprecedented, situation that we're finding ourselves in with the coronavirus and everything that's happening along with that. So the safest place for your money is still absolutely in an insured institution. For example, at Williamstown Bank or any other FDIC insured institution, individual deposits are insured to $250,000. And so there is definitely some security and safety in that. No depositor that has ever, been with an FDIC institution has lost money. So that should give a little bit of comfort to people who are wondering, okay, is banking safe and is my money still safe in the bank? It absolutely is. We're taking prudent measures to make sure that we can, we're required to have plans in place that help us weather these storms. And so, we're dusting those out and putting them into place. And, we are 100% committed to making sure that, customers feel safe and still keeping their money at, insured institutions.
Because the other thing is, even I know that you're limiting personal contact. That is the thing. Banks are one of the foundations and the security that people have. They know that, all I have to do is log on to my account, pull up the app on my phone, go to one of those technology things, and still transact their business. And that is another thing. I know I mentioned at the beginning about actually handling money. That's a good way to not have to carry and count out a bunch of cash and
Absolutely.
potentially whether it's coronavirus or whatever, money is not the cleanest thing physically that there is. So talk about how people can keep themselves safe if they need those banking services. Should they write more checks? Should they maybe investigate using the online? Maybe they haven't downloaded the app or you paid bills online. Is that something they should maybe think about doing? Because I know sometimes it's hard, but I've always carried cash. Is this a good time to see how well and how secure those technologies are?
There are so many avenues that customers can use now for transacting business that don't require them to come into the bank. And, like you said, first of all, money is dirty. Money is infested with germs. And so especially at this point in time, the less you have to handle physical cash, the better you're off. The less contact that you have between transacting business in cash and handing money back and forth between people, the safer you're going to be. The mobile banking and the online banking are fantastic ways that customers can still, they can, transfer money. They can look at their balances. We even have the ability in our online banking and our mobile banking app, you can take a picture of a check and you can deposit that check just by taking the picture of it and making sure that it's properly endorsed on the back. And then you can submit that, and you don't even have to come into the bank to make that deposit anymore. Again, along with, a lot of people now send money using, some people may be familiar with like Venmo or Zelle. We have that type of feature available in our app as well. So it allows you to send money to someone directly. You can send them a text and they can put their debit card information in, and you're able to send them money again without having to physically go face to face with them. The ITMs, as I mentioned earlier, are in a wonderful way to minimize contact. You can still come to the drive-thru and have that live video interaction with one of our video tellers. It's a very personal experience, but it also allows you, again, to your money goes straight into the machine, or your checks, if you're depositing, go straight into the machine, and it eliminates you having to, again, transact and switch money back and forth with people. You can also do savings withdrawals and loan payments. All of those things can be done at the interactive teller machines. So there's lots of ways that customers have, many options that they have to keep themselves safe and to minimize the contact that they have with others during this time. Because I know everyone's trying to avoid that face-to-face contact as much as possible, but we still want that interaction. We still want that human aspect to it. You can call our call center. They're ready and waiting to answer questions that people might have. So we have got lots of ways and lots of options for people to keep themselves safe while still doing their banking.
Let me ask you about scams, because I know that you want people to call you at the call center, but unfortunately one of the ways that people get scammed is people will call them and say, "Hi, I'm from the bank and I need you," or the credit card company, "and I need you to verify your information." We're talking to the person who knows. We're talking to Sharon Anderson, President and CEO of the bank. So when she says it, believe it. Do banks ever call anybody for any reason and ask them to verify account information, PIN numbers, or any of that stuff over the phone?
Absolutely not. The only thing that we might ever do is if, say, someone's applied for online banking, we're going to call you and verify that was you who signed up. But we already have all your information. We have your debit card number. We have your account number. There's no need for us to call and get that information from you. And unfortunately, when there's panic and people are more anxious to begin with, and in this case, this is the current situation that we're looking with the coronavirus. Unfortunately, you have people that will take advantage of this and try to scam people into thinking that they're calling from a doctor's office, or they're calling about test results, or they're doing something that is asking them for a PIN number, or, "Hey, can you verify your debit card information? We want to make sure that we have the right information." Absolutely not. No financial institution is ever going to call you and ask you for that type of information. And that should be your very first hint that it's a scam, is they're asking you for information that if I'm calling you from the bank, I already have it. And I am not going to call you asking for that. And then also, if you start asking people questions, usually when the scammers, they really try to to make you feel sorry for them, or sometimes they make you feel, they try to get you emotionally attached to a situation so that you want to, but do not, please do not put yourself at risk for the fraud that's happening out there right now too. There's unfortunately a lot of that. Again, it's our hope that we can try and protect. If you ever have a question about a call that you get or a letter that you get, someone wanting that kind of information, call your bank, go to your bank, talk to someone that you trust and ask them before you give any of that information out, because I can almost guarantee it's always going to be a scam. No one's going to call you asking for that information.
And just to follow up on that, they need to call you first, because once the transaction's already happened, if you've already gone and made that transaction, then calling you and going, hey, I think I was scammed, that's when it's too late. If you've already cashed that check from somebody that ends up being fraudulent or fake or what have you, once that transaction done, the bank's simply following what you instructed. So if you deposit a check that doesn't have any money behind it, then it's too late. So that's why you should always verify that information first before you go ahead and make that withdrawal or do that Western Union transaction or anything like that.
Absolutely. You should try to make that call first. There's a lot of times that we have people come in and they'll bring in a check. Maybe it says they've won the lottery, or it's a mystery shopper. We get that a lot where, hey, cash this check. You keep $500, send the rest of it back. It's for your taxes. And then what happens is people do that. Now, we try to catch that as much as we can. Sometimes we don't catch everything right up front, but, what happens in that situation then is you go and you cash that check and you send that money to them. They take off with your money. That check comes back to us as a fraudulent check, and then you're responsible for that money. So you want to be very careful before you cash anything. Nothing is for free. So if you're not expecting a check in the mail, if you're not trying to, you shouldn't think that you're going to get a check and then just be able to cash it. Especially, like I said, the mystery shopper, the lottery scams, those are huge. We see those a lot. Elder abuse, there's a lot of people who try to take advantage of the elderly. So you definitely want to call first.
I know that you obviously want everyone to be welcome and serve everyone. Talk about specifically serving people with disabilities at the bank, because sometimes people need a little extra help. They want to have that independence and open their own account and live like everyone else. Is there assistance and accommodations for people with disabilities at your bank?
Absolutely. And, that's really kind of a case-by-case situation, because every person and every situation is different. So we would always try to accommodate people, with any kind of disability so that they feel comfortable banking with us. I can tell you that in the past we've had, customers that are they're visually impaired and they're not able to see well, and so we're willing to help them, and so that they can still maintain that independence and that they can have that own bank account. Our website, for example, we have an ADA compliant website, so we can make sure that, again, people with visual disabilities or hearing disabilities, the website is such that it can be read to you. Or you can adjust the visual if you're hearing impaired. So we try very, very hard to make sure that we represent all of our community, and we are proud to accommodate people with disabilities, and we'll do what we can to make sure that they have that sense of independence and have that ability to maintain that account, but also knowing that we're here to help them if they need it.
How about your technology with your new machines as well? If someone walks up to an ATM or one of the other new machines, does it have a place for people to plug in headphones and things so they can also hear the?
Yes. They are handicap accessible, so they have the ability for you to plug in headphones. They have the ability, again, if you're visually impaired. So, we wanted to make sure that was a feature in those machines, because, again, we want to make sure that we're serving everyone within our community, not just those that are maybe fortunate enough to not have any kind of disabilities. But we absolutely want to be able to accommodate that at different levels, no matter whether it's through the technology or the in-person, in-branch experience.
I know that you're dealing with, especially in your position, with making sure all your employees and everyone is safe. What one thing you're doing for fun every day to keep your spirits up? Because this is pretty weighty. You were watching what happens. You're listening to what the governor says or the president says, and don't know how it's going to affect your industry or your employees. But at some point you have to kind of go, okay, let's do something to keep our. So, what one thing are you doing every day for fun to try and keep your spirits up through all this?
I don't know if it's just one thing. I think sometimes we can get too much news. We can get too much social media. So I try to just take a break from it for a while, especially in the evenings. I try to do things, whether it be, baking cookies or, exercising. Exercising is, I think, one of the best ways that people in general can keep their spirits up. It's proven to make you feel better. I know I always feel better after I exercise. So whether it be riding a bike or going for a run, I try to do something active each day and just try to understand that, we're in this situation. We know we're going to come out of it, and just being mindful of the fact that, we will get through this, and just trying to be positive in general, I think helps. But eliminating some of the negative constant media and news that you're getting, I think, is important, because you can listen to too much of it to where it just really affects your ability to keep your spirits up. So I think there has to be distancing from that. But then I think also we're limited right now into how we can, get together with people. We can't physically get together with people, but, being able to, I know we're trying to, each night, my husband and I, along with our daughter, who's 14 and actually has some special needs herself, she, enjoys playing board games. So we're trying to play a different board game in the evening, just to, keep things a little bit more, upbeat and spirits up. We're just kind of taking each day as it is, as we can, and doing the best we can in that day. So.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, especially this time. Sharon Anderson, President and CEO of Williamstown Bank, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we appreciate your time very much.
Thank you so much. It was great. I'm excited to have been asked to participate in this.